What's up, fellas? It's Sunny again. I've got a bit of a different type of video for you today. I understand that there are some of you out there that are probably interested in playing Johnny, but don't really know where to start, or just would rather have a more visual presentation of the info that they want. So that's what this video here is for. I'm going to be covering what, in my opinion, are some essential concepts or techniques, some good routes that you should know when playing this character at a beginner level. All the information I'm providing can be handily found in Johnny's Dust Loop page, so for a much more thorough breakdown of this character, be sure to check that out. I split this info into chapters for you to view any particular part of this video that interests you. And with all that being said, let's get started, okay? Playing stance level 1 Johnny. Alright, so Johnny at level 1 isn't bad necessarily, but he's not at the peak top tier performance that you might be used to seeing. Your goal is to reach that top tier state by landing a coin on your opponent either in neutral, from a knockdown, or OTG, or simply using Roman cancel after a poke. Here's some examples to illustrate what I'm talking about. Moving on to miscanceling. So as you're probably already aware of, Johnny's a stance character who gains an insane benefit from canceling the recovery of his normals by quickly entering and exiting his miss stance. What this means is that you have to get into the routine habit of canceling your slower normals, slash or heavy slash normals, into miss stance. And to sort of get you into the habit of doing that, I've got a few series of strings provided by the good folks who manage Johnny's Dust Loop page here. And we're going to go through them together. The image is going to be on screen, and you'll also have some visual aid of these examples. Just keep in mind that the startup of miss stance is faster the higher your level is, so the timing in which you press a button after miscanceling is different, and you have to accommodate for that, okay? Now let's get into it. Okay, so Zwei YRC is a very powerful mix-up tool. Zwei YRC is done by canceling Zweihander with Roman cancel just before the opponent blocks a projectile part of the move. So if done right, your opponent has to guess between a high or a low attack. The timing for air Zweihander and ground Zweihander are different, so you have to get familiar with both types. And as for input method, you can either use the 3-button RC macro found in the button settings or the 4-button macro. Personally, I use the 4-button macro. I think it's much easier to pull this thing off with. But you do run the risk of activating instant kill when you don't want to if you're mashing the macro, so you can't be reckless with this method. And that's the one I'll be using to showcase Zwei YRC. Zweihander is comprised of two parts, a physical attack with Johnny's foot, and a projectile second. Getting just the first hit of Zwei is what's referred to as the one-hit Zwei, which causes a hard knockdown that allows Johnny to continue his offense as well as maintain higher misfire levels. This requires kind of customizing your combos to create the space for only the first hit of Zwei to connect, which of course is kind of its own separate beast, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll only provide a couple of routes that lead to one-hit Zwei, which tend to work against a good amount of the cast. For a more in-depth breakdown of one-hit Zwei routes, I highly recommend you check out the strategy section in Johnny's Dust Loop page. On to throw setups. So Johnny's throw is so good that he's often referred to as the best grappler, and it shows. Knowing when to sneak in a throw to force your opponent to do something besides block is important, so I'll showcase a few scenarios where you can go for throws. It's important to note that when going for these throws, you should input it as forward slash and heavy slash all at the same time. That way if your opponent can't be thrown for reasons like them still being in block stun, or they try to jump the throw, for example, you'll get close slash instead of forward heavy slash, which is a much better button to use in those situations. And that's a wrap on this guide, I think. I hope you all enjoyed it. There's honestly still so much left to cover about this character, and there's many nuances. It's so fun, but it's also so lengthy. So I tried to fit in as much as I could that I felt was absolutely necessary. And I do believe what I've shown makes for a good building block to start gaming on Johnny. This is my first time creating this sort of content, so any feedback in the comments section is much appreciated. If you found any of this info helpful, consider helping a brother out by liking and subscribing. It would help a lot. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in my usual goofy clips instead.